Gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and get started with our education and culture meeting for today. We have two items on our agenda. The first is our recovery and reopening update, and that will be from both Montgomery College and our universities at Shady Grove, understanding the challenges with the global pandemic and what we're facing there and how they intend to move forward. Well, they're already underway for summer, but move forward into the fall and spring semesters as well. And then our second item of the day is going to be our budget savings plan in response to the county executive's request for 6% savings across the board from entities throughout the county. So let me first start off by thanking my colleagues on the Education and Culture Committee, Councilmember Navarro and Councilmember Jawando, and always thank our great staff, both Mr. Howard and now Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez, who's ably working to support him as well. We also want to thank Montgomery College and universities at Shady Grove for their great partnership with us throughout these incredibly challenging times in still standing up a key tenet of economic development, and that is to prepare our students as well as our community members for the jobs of the future. That certainly is incredibly important and something that we know is going to be a key part of us trying to recover from this economic crisis and this global pandemic we find ourselves in. So with that, Mr. Howard, I'll just turn it over to you unless my colleagues will just do the same thing. Just text me if you'd like to chime in at any point. I'll make sure that we work you into the agenda and we'll move forward from there. I know that our time is going to be condensed this afternoon. We have a lot to cover. And so from that perspective, I'm going to dispense of any opening comments and go right into the packet. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Howard.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rice, and good afternoon to all council members and everybody who's here. Thank you for joining us. So today is the kind of next set of discussions on recovery. The committee had a first discussion on MCPS's recovery efforts, and so this is our first discussion on the higher education institutions' recovery efforts. Just to kind of quickly go through the background, what council staff asked the college and USG to kind of be prepared to discuss this afternoon with the committee is three things. First, their plans for summer classes and the 2021 upcoming school year, starting in the fall. Available student resources and related initiatives to address the effects of COVID-19, as well as CARES funding or other federal state assistance and kind of what's going on in those areas. As there's been a lot of changes in the past few weeks about from different funding sources. We put together some information in the packet for each agency and also have a few attachments. A lot of that information is not new. You may have seen it before in other different formats. It's been shared with you, but we wanted to kind of put it all together in a single spot so you could have a chance to see it there and then go back to it as needed. So I won't go through and read through what we put together for the college or USG. I'd recommend, Mr. Chair, that we turn it over to each agency to kind of walk through their updates that they want to provide, and then after any questions and answers, if there's anything else that was in the packet that hasn't been addressed, staff will bring that up.
Excellent. Well, I will certainly take that advice, and let's turn to our great leader of our great two-year institution. I don't like to even say, because it's really one of those where there's so much potential that's there. And certainly with the two of you together, you really represent a true university here in Montgomery County, and that says something. So with that, I'll turn it to Dr. Pollard, President of Montgomery College.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Delighted to be here. To members of the Education and Culture Committee, always good to be in your presence, and thank you for your continued interest and leadership as it relates to Montgomery College, and certainly these efforts of rebound and recovery that our county is going through. I also want to thank Mr. Howard for the packet. Because it's so well done, I'm not going to speak too much to the details. I'm happy to respond to questions. As you can see, I have two of my colleagues here with me, Ms. Greeny, who's our Chief Fiscal Officer and Financial Strategy, and Sanjay Rai, who is our Chief Academic Officer, both of whom are smarter and better able to repair or respond to questions and then also repair anything that I say incorrectly. With that, though, let me just say again, this idea of leading in this moment, I continue to tell people, as a matter of fact, talking with some friends just this past week, there's no other place I'd rather live than Montgomery County. And that is because I'm seeing such tremendous work that's being done thoughtfully and deliberately by both the elected leadership in our county, but also by those folks who are very much engaged in this work of trying to make sure that we continue to support the needs of our county. And while we know that COVID-19 has really upended everything that we know to be true and really disrupted this idea of business as usual, I'd offer to you that Montgomery College has really taken this as a moment to think about how we can be more reflective, how we can be more innovative and solve problems in bigger ways. I refuse to accept the belief that COVID-19 is going to break us. It's not going to do that. What it's going to do is make us stronger. And as an organization, all the work that I think that we've been doing for the last 10 years has placed us uniquely in this moment to be able to respond to what's happening right now. So I hit upon some of the things that Mr. Howard mentioned, Mr. Chair, that you all wanted to hear from, and then be able and happy to respond to any questions you may have. Once the college completed the move to emergency remote operations, we put two plans together very quickly, both of which are in your packets for today. Resilient MC, a roadmap for college operations post-COVID-19. In this is almost a philosophical and also operational guide for us as an institution about how we were going to move forward. Guiding principles, a set of assumptions that helped inform the work that we would do, an organizational decision-making protocol, and then a tactical plan to move forward and making sure that we were also aligned with our MC25, which is our strategic plan for the organization. And then we put together a COVID-19 health and safety plan that continues to evolve but is very thoughtfully designed by key members of the college community who do this in consultation with all state, local, and CDC health directives. One of the smartest things I think I've ever done in 10 years at Montgomery College, and the list isn't always that long, but this one I know is at the top, is putting together a Corona advisory team, which is led by Dr. Monique Davis, the Dean of our Health Sciences, and then our Interim Director of Public Safety and Information Management, Mr. Adam Reed. They have done a phenomenal job of bringing together, and we've put some good team members with them to look at how to draft specific tactical and implementation plans. So we are very much, and I can assure you that the guiding principle for us has been the health and safety of our employees, our faculty and staff, and certainly our students. So we've been very deliberate about that as an organization. As you know, in March, when we switched to emergency remote operations, this was not an easy task, and I want to thank Dr. Rye and his team for the work that they did, because our faculty and staff have just simply been phenomenal. Despite challenges, more students completed the semester than they did so last spring. So we know that something happened, and that in the midst of crises, in the midst of lots of challenges, our faculty and staff just came forward and did some remarkable work in moving us forward. So we will be in remote operations for the foreseeable future. Those of you who follow any of the great higher education journals that are out there and periodicals, they talk a lot about this. Matter of fact, every time I open up anything, Forbes, all the way down to the Chronicle of Higher Education, they're all talking about what does this portend for higher education right now. So we're looking at our summer right now. Our summer operations, summer 1 session just completed, and the summer 2 session is now underway. We focused on two very specific things in our summer offerings. One is a delivery of high quality instruction, and then certainly secondly, the preparation of continued use of online instruction delivery, therefore focused on professional development. We know that this is going to continue to be an area that we wanted to be distinctive in as an organization. So in the first summer session, we focused on instruction in the various programs and courses in which faculty and staff are already highly skilled on the use of online delivery to do that work. And over the last 5 years, I think we've been well positioned in this space. We've expanded our online course offerings, developed new online degrees. We expanded the use of open educational resources. Every one of Montgomery College classes has a Blackboard shell, being this is instructional technology that allows every faculty member to connect with students and to house content for their courses in one location. Our experience with online education requires that students have to have, faculty are appropriately trained in that. And then we did robust additional training for faculty right before, during spring break to help with that full transition into online work. We're continuing to do that effort in professional development right now. In fact, 700 full and part-time faculty are currently participating in a specialized training led by our college's ELITE, which stands for E-Learning, Innovation, and Teaching Excellence program. Very excited about this. Most of the program training is complete. We know the summer 2 began July 11th with expanded course offerings. And we have some distinctive competencies in this. I think the idea, we were recently ranked as #1 in the state of Maryland as it relates to online education. This demonstrates, I think, our ability to be responsive to that. As a result of that, while we've had changes in our WDCE programming, we also know that we have had to cancel a number of courses. Those oftentimes are hands-on, face-to-face instruction. We were still able to offer 700 courses that were delivered through our WDC area through remote education. They've implemented new online courses. They've tried to help enhance business operations for a lot of private sectors by delivering workshops for them. And then they'll be continuing to collaborate with WorkSource Montgomery to deliver training programs to residents to help them get back to work. For the remainder of the summer, we're going to continue in this vein, and then we will begin the fall semester online. We're having online and what we also call structured remote format, where students will have designated times. They will work with faculty members to go into a remote environment to do that. And we know that that's going to allow us again to advance the public health directives that we're trying to be responsive to as an organization. We're also going to be piloting some new tools where our labs are going to be using anything from AI and other types of technologies to help them deliver those lab experiences in a remote environment. We're also going to be piloting some things. We try to bring them back face to face in some very thoughtful and deliberate ways. Instruction is the heart of what we do at Montgomery College. But if you have to have that heart, which is instruction, you have to have all these other things around it to make it work. So our remote operations has been essential as well for student services. As you all know, based on your support, we were able to reallocate almost $500,000 to help students who are directly in need as it related to the events. We also were able to implement the federal CARES funding, thanks to Liz and her shop work on the financial aid area. We've distributed almost $3 million of aid to 5,518 students. So that's taking us over $3.5 million that we've provided through either federal funds or the college's funds with the foundation to students. And we're also continuing to work with students one-on-one. Our ACES program, which you all are so thoughtful in supporting for us, has made over 7,500 touch points with ACES students, and that's been there across all 3 institutions. Our counseling and advising area has been significant. Our counseling faculty have reached out to over 4,500 students and have had more than 3,000 sessions that they've documented in our Starfish, which is our online portal for advising. We also know that we're focusing on our student athletes, so they're not left behind. Our Raptor Central is a new gateway to the college where we're trying to triage a variety of student onboarding and expanding our services in that space. We've processed almost 5,000 applications to the institution, 35,000 calls, and 1,000 emails between March and June. That's in a 3-month period we were able to respond to that. But when you also want to know what's happening is that our financial aid, we had to take a lot of that online. So we know that staff have received over 5,500 telephone calls between March and June, and they've distributed the CARES funding that we've talked about in less than 1 month. In fact, we were one of the few colleges that were able to bring it in and get that money turned around very quickly to students. Our Shaw Center, which is our Student Health and Wellness Center, helps students with food insecurity. We've provided more than 250 food care packages, over 100 electronic e-gifts so students can go and make purchases electronically, and almost 250 grocery cards that folks can go out based on a donation from our foundation to do that. Mental health continues to be an area of which we're spending a lot of time on. So we have been using licensed clinicians from the community to provide support to our students. We've had 97 online engagement activities to help reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. We've had over 660 students participate in those. We've also continued to advance our diversity and inclusion courses to help equip students with information around these issues as they move within their daily life. We've had robust student activity, and we continue to be very deliberate about those activities directly online. They've had dance parties on the weekend. They've done all types of activities for students, which has just been absolutely phenomenal. All of this, though, does not allow us to know what the fall is going to be like. So we know that right now, if we look at summer was up. If you put the two summer sessions together, summer 1 was down, but summer 2 was up, so much so that we're up about 7% in head count and 12% in billing hours for summer. We don't know what that means for fall, though. Right now, fall is lagging behind. And I think as we look at the realities that many of our students are thinking about, can they afford to go back to school? That's an option that we're seeing as being very challenging for some. Many of them are also waiting to see at their transfer institutions what they're doing this fall. Many students have contacted us about trying to come up with alternative strategies. If they come to Montgomery College in the fall, how will this play out in the spring and vice versa? So we're seeing a lot of conversation in that. And then, as you all know, we're deeply engaged around the ICE notification is barring F1 visa holders from attending school in the U.S. in an online environment. Very troubled by this. In fact, I issued a statement and we've joined an amicus brief to indicate the college's deep concern for this particular piece of guidance per se from ICE. We've been very deliberate about that. So we are trying to make sure that we are living both our mission of access as well as embracing our mission of radical inclusion and knowing exactly who we serve as a community. We're continuing to move forward in many areas. We're preparing right now the RFP to go out as we look at the fourth campus to meet the needs of the growing county as we look at rebound and how do we play an economic and workforce development function for that. And we're also working to help support the county's workforce needs very directly through monies that we're receiving from the state in terms of GEARS and CARES Act money. You also know in the packet, I think Mr. Howard talked about this, and we'll talk about it later about the savings plan. We're doing a significant amount of contingency work in this space as we've already had some resources cut from the state budget and trying to be responsive what the county is asking us to do as well. So that's where we are right now, Mr. Rice and Ms. Navarro, Mr. Jawando, as it relates to our summer and fall. I'm happy to respond to questions now or at the end, whenever works best for you.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I think this would be the appropriate time to go ahead and ask any questions and engage in some dialogue. From my perspective, I have a couple questions dealing directly with CARES funding and reimbursement. I know the college has embarked on truly getting into the weeds, if you will, when it comes to what it is we need to do to ensure that our students at Montgomery College really get that fair and equitable support that we know is incredibly important. Things that we delineated for the Kerwin Commission when it comes to racial equity and social justice as a policy of this county, spearheaded by Councilmember Navarro. These are all things that you've taken on, and I know those have added expense. It's the reason why the Kerwin price tag is so high. I understand that Montgomery College has been doing some of this work leading up to this point, but still, every single change requires additional funds. So I'm curious as to where the college stands with the plan for what it is that you are trying to accomplish and truly continuing to be a racial equity and social justice warrior as an institution, but still adhering to the challenges that you're facing regarding COVID, regarding whether or not you've seen a dip in terms of folks who are registering and taking classes, which means a financial hit as well. Talk to me a little bit about the financial implications as a result of COVID.
Well, I appreciate your question and the nuances of that. So I'm going to walk through a couple of things, and feel free to interrupt me, and I may ask Liz or Sanjay to chime in as well. But let me start by saying your question appreciates several key things. One, that the college has three main sources of revenue. One being obviously the county, which provides roughly at any given point 52 to 54% of the college's operating budget. Then we receive money from students, which is roughly 32%, and then the remainder comes from the state. So there are, and that varies based on the number of enrollments, but revenue from student enrollment is an area that we are very definitely focused on. We've thought very deeply about this kind of contraction that we've been seeing already as it relates to enrollment. This has been happening for the last several years. And as we always tell people, that community colleges are often the canaries. When you want to know if the economy was actually getting better, you could see that because community college enrollments shrink. That shrinks because we have also fewer people who at that point were working their way through the MCPS pipeline. So you have those factors that are taking place. And then when you look at then the public investment in resources from both the county and the state, as both experience some economic challenges, we then are the recipients of that oftentimes. So we know a couple of things have been true. We saw this happening, and I have some really great folks that I work with, and we said, how do we start to position the college differently in this space? So we've worked over the last several years around compensation and benefits for employees, looking at health insurance, and then spending a lot of time thinking about how we onboard employees, and we've talked about that with you all before. But then we also started looking at our own efficiencies as an organization. How do we start to drive down some of our own costs? So Sanjay led great work around efficiencies in terms of seat utilization in our classrooms, looking at how we consolidate certain courses and majors so that we were being very intentional about all the work that we can do. Auxiliary services, Liz is leading work to be very thoughtful about where we are in that space of how we can utilize other resources to help generate. But just as we were doing that, we started seeing that change in that market from textbooks, which had been a place where you saw resources coming into the organization. When you move to OERs, which actually is a benefit to students, that's less textbook revenue that's coming into the institution. Folks also are spending less time eating on campus as other things are available around them. So there are a lot of factors that figure into how you prepare for these types of this work. And the last thing I think is that there's oftentimes this kind of false narrative that when there's some type of state or federal resources that come in, that somehow the college is flush with money. That is not the case. The CARES money that we received, $10 million, which is very thoughtful, $5 million of that is automatically charged to go directly to students. And we are proud of that. And that's what we supplemented our own resources as well to send directly to students before that money even got here. But then if you count this out, so that other $5 million, we're thinking deeply about how do we put this in the hands of students. So we've done some great things in terms of programming, looking at enhancing our early college programs, being very thoughtful about how we get technology in the hands of students, being very deliberate about how we help close and put those safety net issues around students, because the reality is that if students are hungry, if they're worried about housing, if they're trying to figure out how they can get transported across the county, all of these things, the last on their list is going to be school. And for us, we know that we don't have that luxury in the county if we want to enjoy the economic rebound that we all need to have happen. So there's a series of things that we've tried to put in place that have positioned us well. We also simply, as a college, know what to do. We know how to save. Liz Greeny said to me earlier on, okay, Dr. Pollard, this is what we have to start doing. And we started doing this very deliberately. So we're in a position where as an organization, we have put in a lot of hard work to be here, but we're hurting just like everybody else is right now. So as the second agenda item, we talked to the savings plan. I knew that we've always been a faithful partner of the county. We said this is what we can realistically do. But unlike a lot of other sectors, there's so much uncertainty happening right now as it relates to higher education and how this virus can rebound. You know, one of our assumptions going into here is that the virus is going to come back this fall. And if we put the virus with flu, you've got a real significant issue that can happen for us. So we've been trying to be very deliberate and thoughtful, holding harmless people, but making sure at the same time that we're being good fiscal stewards of the resources of the county, the state, and our students invest in us.
Dr. Pollard, I will tell you that you certainly have a future if you decide to ever leave the higher education space as an elected official, because you were very, very nice in terms of how you described the fact that you guys are struggling and that you guys are being hit hard and stretched incredibly thin. And I appreciate the way in which you address this, but the reality is that the numbers are the numbers. And how do we expect you to continue to do those other things that we know are more expensive? And in the same vein, you're bringing in less revenue and challenged with doing other new things with the same dollars. But then we also want you to, and the commitment is there. And so to extract the savings means that you're losing something. You always are giving up on something, right? And so from that, and those are hard decisions that you have to make as a leader. But there are also hard decisions that we as government have to make in terms of how much we are comfortable with you going away from some of the things that we know are important. So we have to find where that line is. Let me turn to Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For a moment there, I thought there was going to be some kind of an announcement here about some political thing. So I was getting a little nervous and excited at the same time. But I really do appreciate this opportunity to hear from you and also from Mr. Ellison and everything that you are doing. Appreciate very much the care and the absolute dedication to making sure that our students, as best they can continue to pursue this very important aspect of what we all know leads to this American dream of sorts, as we always talk about it. So I know it's been very difficult. So I want to commend you for making sure that you dedicate a lot of this money, 50% I believe it is, to emergency assistance. That speaks volumes to the absolute value of Montgomery College. And also that you mentioned the F1 visa piece. As someone who came to this country on a student visa, I had to struggle quite a bit because there's just so many restrictions and, wanted nothing more than to finish my studies. This particular announcement by the Trump administration is absolutely devastating to students and incredibly ridiculous, as a lot of studies have been made about post-COVID-19 recovery, especially for our economy. And there has been such an emphasis on the important role that our immigrant population, especially those who are here studying and could become major assets to us, that amazing, incredible asset that we have right there. And so just wondering if you could speak a little bit more about perhaps the numbers of students, international students that you do have, and just give us just a little bit of an overview or just a take, since this is being discussed so much on the national level, but it obviously hits us here at home as well.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. So I think your observation, your question is an interesting one. One, you will never hear any announcements from me of that sort. Contrary, I love the elected officials that I have in Montgomery County. I support you and look forward to your leadership. I don't have your patience or stamina to do the job that you do. So thank you for what you do. Let's just say patience. Y'all are very, very good. But let me say with that, I think your point is an important. We were literally just talking about this today, which is why the college signed on to an amicus brief of over 180 colleges and universities across the country that have basically said, not as eloquently as you are, but we know for a fact the value and worth that our F1 and J1 students bring to Montgomery College. We know for a fact that our country and our county is made better by them being here. We also know that it is not only a humanitarian and social justice issue, it is an economic one. So in the midst of, as you're describing, this COVID-19 and everything that goes with the rebound of that, it is absolutely appalling, dare I even say disgusting, that we find ourselves in a position where we have groups of students that it may be more dangerous for them to go be educated someplace else, to travel there and not be able to come back. All the things we know to be true in this moment. So we know officially at the college we have about 561, if I'm correct, students who fall into the F1, J1 category. There are more students, as you well know, who fall into international student categories, and we are very thoughtful and responsive to them. Presentation I just saw this morning, as soon as this came out on July 6th, I believe it was, that ICE made this announcement, they have spent hundreds of hours on the phone and in various Zoom meetings or whatever with students who are so concerned because how are they going to finish their education? What are the implications for them? And here's the thing, they have to start making decisions very quickly. So we're hopeful. The judge is supposed to hear the case tomorrow. I believe it is tomorrow afternoon. And because we're supposed to let ICE know by Wednesday certain things about our enrollment. So the judge hopefully will be making some type of initial decision, if not to stay that, because there's two orders that are being addressed in the lawsuit, or two issues. One being the issues you described of a timeline and the timeliness of how this was implemented. And then secondly is the philosophy and just the public health issues that go with that. So we're very concerned as an organization. We've been actively engaged in this conversation. I want to at the forefront all the time. As the most diverse community college in the continental United States, we spend a lot of time thinking about how both our policy and practice align with this idea of equity and inclusion. This is one of the things that we think is important. And the reality is, I think that the administration is being short-sighted and mean right now.
Craig, can I chime in on that, even though it's Montgomery College's?
Sure, please.
Because I think it's a very big issue. It's a dastardly, nasty decision that ICE made. There are a lot of other words we could use to describe it, but we're being taped. Nonetheless, this is an incredibly difficult problem for our international students. We were just on a call before this one with University System. We have about 100 international students at USG who fit the visa categories that are under consideration. But within USM, it's over 5,000 students. And many of those, of course, we know are from Montgomery County. The USM has joined in a national lawsuit with other universities. This is a lawsuit that I think 18 states are involved in, and our Attorney General is leading the way in this effort. So our USM is part of that lawsuit, which is being put in place by two private institutions. MIT and Harvard are leading the way, and then we're joining that with amicus briefs. And as Jerian said, tomorrow there's a judge hearing the case, and hopefully we'll issue some injunction around the ICE regulation. But this is a terrible statement. As a U.S. citizen, as an educator, I'm ashamed of what we're doing and what we're saying to our students and our international community in the way we're approaching this issue. This is nothing other than a very nasty way of dealing with somebody else's agenda.
I really appreciate those comments because, one of the things that people tend to forget, it's interesting. I think at least last time I checked, for most universities, international students actually pay more money to attend. So there is that component, which is odd that they would, do this in this particular moment in time. Number two, as it was stated, the issue of the pandemic is front and center in terms of sending students back to their home countries. Not to mention that in some of those home countries, there are instances of major instability or major situations of concern regarding humanitarian considerations. And so I think it is important to point this out because it has a destabilizing effect on many of our higher education institutions. But as has been mentioned, it serves absolutely no purpose but a political agenda. And it absolutely erodes the stability of many of our higher ed institutions from a financial perspective, but also it just interrupts, a very important educational and also opportunity for many of these students who are educated here in our country to then have access to some of the jobs here, which has always been part of the strength of this country, is that there is that absolute asset perspective there. So I'm very glad to hear that you have both joined in this particular lawsuit, and let's hope that that there are good news. I know that some university, I think Harvard, has done things like go into maybe a couple of classes that are offered on campus in order to get around this. But it is, as you said, absolute ridiculous affront that serves no purpose other than a political agenda. And let's just hope that the courts agree with that. Thank you.
Dr. Rai, you wanted to say something?
Yes, just wanted to acknowledge that I also came to this country as an F1 a student. I don't know whether it was good or bad, but I ended up staying here. Uh, the challenge is not only their visa status, because US has very high number of cases. A lot of countries are not accepting people coming from US. So a lot of international students don't have option of going back to their home countries. That is an issue. The other thing, F1 is international students are major part of research that happens on US universities, and they contribute significantly to that research. Today, if you look at CEO of Microsoft, CEO of Google, CEO of IBM, CEO of Adobe, they all came to United States as F1 students. Imagine the edge, a competitive edge that United States gets from this talent. These are students who come to graduate program with perfect GRE scores and things like that. We get best of the world, and they, add so much to our economic success. If you look at our own companies here, GSK or AstraZeneca and others, you'll see a lot of people driving innovation in these places who came as F1 students. So thank you for everyone's support on that.
You also get the first Latina elected to the county council, so it does work out at the end.
That's right. That's right.
But I think we're also not understanding that the U.S. higher education system, which used to be the best in the world, was the desired place for any student across the world to come to, and we've made it now very difficult for that to happen. And the benefits to the U.S. and the benefits to the world of what we contributed, because we were able to educate more students internationally, some who stayed, some who went back, some who enriched our educational system, is now almost irreplaceable. Almost irreplaceable. What we're doing to ourselves economically and educationally is not only not defensible, but it's endangering the quality of what we do.
And the interesting thing is, it's not just the quality of what we do here, Montgomery County or the state of Maryland or the United States of America. It's the quality all around. We can't just say that diversity helps us here in Montgomery County, Maryland, and doesn't help us worldwide. And so even if a person comes here and gains some great experience and takes that back to their country, their home country of origin, the reality is our world is a better place for it. We all still benefit, and we need to acknowledge that. I don't know why we got to a point where we thought that, well, the only way in which we benefit is if you come to this country and just contribute to us. The reality is we are global. Just as we see this global pandemic, we are all connected. We are all vulnerable together, just as we are all successful together. If we are to truly combat this global pandemic, if we are truly to combat climate change, if we are truly to get where there's justice for everyone and equality for all, those are worldwide achievements. That is not something that's just unique to this one small part of the world. And so from that perspective, why we would then want to hold that hostage and say that it's only here and can't be anywhere else just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And, oh, by the way, some folks do choose to stay, and we benefit immensely from that too. I mean, so it's pluses all around. There's no downside to it. I don't know which one of the three of you said that, but when you said that, that resonated with me so much, because there is no downside. There's no downside to the power of education and what that can do for everyone. We all benefit from that. The solution to a pandemic does not have to come out of the United States. If it came from South America, if it came from Africa, if it came from India, if it came from Asia, who cares? The fact of the matter is you're saving lives. So wouldn't you want that power of education, that power of innovation, right, to be all across the world so that everybody is working on this all at the same time to save us as a race of people, right? That's where we are right now. So anyway, I'm sorry, Councilmember Navarro, you couldn't be more right about this. So I just wanted to chime in on that. I didn't know if you had other.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because at this particular moment in time, I would argue that the United States is not the model with regards to how to handle the pandemic or get us out of there. And so more than ever, as you were just stating, it's absolutely correct. And as you were talking about this, people that came and stayed and went back to their countries, et cetera. Well, my father first came here as well as an international student studying petroleum engineering, finishing up graduate work, went back to Venezuela to make his contribution. I happened to just stay here because of destiny and love. But you're absolutely right. And more than ever, I think in many ways we are seeing how it is imperative to look towards what other countries are doing and how they are leading. And instead of us trying to go forward, we keep taking steps back. And we have to definitely fight hard to make sure that doesn't continue to happen. Thank you.
So, Dr. Pollard, along those lines, one of the questions I did have, and I think I'm going to turn to Councilmember Jawando, because I think you may have a question or two about this as well. I understand that you guys have, and we'll get into this a little bit more with the savings plan, but I do just want to understand as far as expenses go, and I want to just put a little bit of finer of a point on it in terms of expenses go from what you've expended via COVID versus been reimbursed from COVID. What is the financial position of the college at this point in terms of up, down, even? Where are we?
So I'm
And I'm going to ask the same thing of the universities at Shady Grove as well. So
sure, I'll let Liz be generating a response, but let me just say, first of all, we have not been reimbursed for anything. So that I think is an important point to be made. The federal government provided us with $10 million, of which at least half is just as a pass-through directly to students. So we have done that. And then the other $5 million, which we have not fully received yet, is also going to be used to supplement any losses that we may have had, or use it to redirect to students. So we're still in the process of figuring out what those rules are going to look like. But in terms of where we are in terms of financial standing, I'll ask the incomparable Ms. Greeny if she would take a stab at trying to respond to the questions you posed.
Thank you, Dr. Pollard, and thank you, Councilman Rice. The college is trying to evaluate deeply the various buckets of resources that we have available to us and make sure that we're using the appropriate resource. So in so doing, we're looking very hard at personal protective equipment and sanitation to be an option for FEMA reimbursement. We're looking for CARES to help us along with those expenses we're incurring in order to deploy our remote teaching and learning due to the pandemic. So Dr. Pollard alluded to the training, the 700 plus that are going through the training and the mentors that are providing that training. We are going to incur expenses with that we hope to draw down CARES for. That's probably close to $1 million to $1.5 million in that training. In addition, we are converting what were face-to-face labs delivery into online delivery in our highly technical areas, such as engineering and science. So to the best that we can and the talent that we have, we are going to collaboratively across all those campuses work together to convert those labs. In addition, as Dr. Pollard mentioned, we only draw the funds in after we've incurred them. So the college is in a sense loaning the money to the federal government until the activity has been completed. We can review it for authenticity and accuracy, and then we pull the money in. So with regard to the student money, we have gotten that money out to the students as quickly as possible, and then we have drawn it from the Department of Ed. With regard to the institutional money, we've established a governance process whereby requests have to be documented on a consistent request form. They're evaluated by a governance team for appropriateness to CARES funding. And then if they're approved, the accounting nomenclature to drive it through CARES recovery is established and set up. The governance group meets once a week. We are approving those requests as they come forward. We are also setting aside some of that institutional money with the thought that perhaps maybe the students may need more. And there is no restriction for us to convert some of that institutional money to student emergency aid if need be. So we're kind of looking to set aside some of that money. We get approximately a year to spend this money, and that has been updated to go beyond a year on the student side of the house. I'm not exactly sure on the institutional side whether they've been as lenient to us, but we do keep looking at the guidelines as they continue to change. As you know, they have shifted consistently. Dr. Pollard also mentioned the educational or technology tools for the students. We hope to use CARES money for those students that may need technology needs, that may not qualify under student emergency assistance, but it may more qualify as a critical tool to be successful in the class that you are registering for. So that's another high area of touch that we're looking to use that money for.
Well, thank you for that, Ms. Greeny. It sounds to me as though there's still a lot that's out there that's floating that we won't know for a while until, and that gives me a little bit of comfort, I guess. I know that was one of the, and I don't want to speak for Councilmember Duwando, but that's one of the questions kind of leading in that he had as well. So let me turn to Councilmember Duwando.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Councilman Rice. I just think that does cover it. I obviously have great appreciation for the best community college in the country, and University of Shady Grove, the best model. You know, I don't even know how to refer to you guys because you're one of a kind yourself with all those degree granting requirements there at the institution. So I just want to make sure you guys had what you needed and we understood specifically. And Ms. Greeny, that was helpful. And so I know you jointly came to this and we're going to talk about the savings plan, but you're always been a team player. You always come in under budget and over deliver. So I know you'll do that in this instance. And so just as you know, please let us know in real time if there are some things that you need that aren't going to, that you can't let go. I think we want to know that, and you're hearing that from the committee. So I appreciate it.
I really want to say thank you for you all for noting that. And right now, the volatility of this is really the part that's the most problematic. So it's both a cash flow issue, making sure that we have things as they come in, at the same time knowing that the expenses mount up as we start to think about bringing people back to work on the physical facilities. I'm amazed. I thought the hardest decision as a college president I've had to make was on March 13th, making a decision we're going to be going to emergency remote instruction. I thought that was the hardest thing, and telling people, okay, let's get these laptops out, let's do this, let's do that. I thought that was hard. That is nothing compared to now having to figure out how we bring people back into buildings. And because here's the realities you're pointing out, this is not going away anytime soon. This is and I hate saying new normal, but this is the reality we live in now. So, we're looking at policies along with teleworking, all the way down to how do we physically outfit an employee who's going to be working remotely for some time. We have employees who don't have broadband at home. We have employees who don't have technology at home, let alone students that you're describing. Enrollment is so precarious right now. So I really appreciate, when we talk about PPE, we got to buy it. We talk about putting plexiglass, that costs money, all the things that we all know to be true. So I'm grateful to you. And as we have a wonderful team who's doing a good job of managing where we are right now. But I will not try to come at you and say at the last minute, I need help. I'll give you shots across the bow as I do a few times and then say, okay, I'm needing some help right now because we've been thoughtful, but there's only so much you can plan for that right now is just simply unknown.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Navarro?
Thank you. So Dr. Pollard, you just reminded me of something that I have been also commenting on, and you're absolutely right. I think we thought the most difficult decision was this issue of closing, And we have now seen how extraordinarily unpredictable and difficult that reopening is. Because as you said, it's not as if there was a particular, goalpost and then, oh, we're done. Everything is great, back to normal. The uncertainty is really great. And so I totally agree with what you're saying. And I so much empathize because I think even for us and as council members, as we're trying to also navigate the reopening of the county, it's exponential in terms of the consequences. But at some point, you realize that this, like you said, it's going to be with us for a while. And the only thing that is certain is the uncertainty. And so, kudos to all of you for working so hard to at least put in some kind of a strategy and some parameters. But I think it's so important as leaders to acknowledge to our residents that this is definitely a very difficult task. And, we will follow the science and the numbers and the best practices as much as we can. But we're seeing around the country that there are jurisdictions, who either reopen too quickly or whatever, and now they're back to, square one or even in more difficult conditions. So I just wanted to express my appreciation for what you just said, because I have reflected on that same exact challenge of this reopening, extraordinary, difficult task ahead with no real roadmap.
No, what I love about your comment, and this is the same one that we have every time, I got into a robust conversation with some community members this past weekend about this issue. And in that, I had to remind people, and I try to remind them, Montgomery County Council, Montgomery College, USG, MCPS, none of us created COVID. None of us went out and said, oh, COVID, come to Montgomery County and let us be the only place where we have to grapple with this issue. This came, none of us were asked for it, none of us said we wanted to respond to it, but we have to do it. None of us were prepared. Who was prepared for a pandemic? So the fact that we are taking some time to figure it out, and then we're also saying that this pandemic will change the way we do life from now on. I'm reminded, people say, okay, remote instruction costs more than it does if you do it in a face-to-face. I have to monitor people when they're taking exams across. I have to get different supplies to them. So this is not just simply saying, oh, let's just flip a switch and it's different. So I thank you for saying that, and I really want to encourage people. I know it's hard, but this idea of having some level of patience and resilient patience is really, really important right now, because all of us are trying to figure out what this looks like when we're done.
Could I also add to that? I think everything that you said, Councilwoman Navarro said, is absolutely true. This is very complicated. It's complex. We didn't create the problem. We're trying to deal with it as best as we can with information that we have. But I think we can all help each other by, one, patience, and also giving some slack, particularly to our educational institutions, MCPS being the largest and having a lot of difficulties in how it's going to offer instruction. And it's not just about the students, it's about the people who work at MCPS. And all of those issues are going to be difficult issues to deal with, and they affect our entire county. Not only do we have problems as educational institutions, but all of our businesses have similar issues. So the whole community is trying to grapple with this issue, and it will continue not just until we have a vaccine, but way beyond, because life will be different. We will be doing different things that we do now. There is no normal about what we're doing, and we don't know what the new normal is going to look like. So we have to be very patient with each other, and we have to talk through the issues and the challenges that we have, because what we do to protect people may impact their ability to work, or may impact their ability for companies to earn income to pay people. So these are big issues that we have to work to as a community together, and we have to feel that we're in a community protecting each other and understanding the challenges that each brings to the table. These are very, very difficult issues to deal with as a community.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's very interesting, because we all have these conversations about what's next. Just spent the weekend talking with folks about who were responding to MCPS's version of what they think the fall may look like. And of course, you had folks on all sides of the issue. But I think, Dr. Pollard, what you highlighted, and Dr. Edelstein, what you were commenting to, is that we have no idea what tomorrow, let alone 5 months from now, holds. We've seen a projection back in April and May. I will remind you guys that the conversation was the summer was going to be the slow time for COVID. The summer was supposed to be a time when we could actually catch our breath, really get a handle on things. The virus was not going to survive the warm weather and the heat. And so therefore we'd have this lull until the fall. Well, folks, we are in the midst of July, one of the hottest months of the year. And we have record spikes all across the country. Where is the lull, right? So what we project still doesn't get us, because we've never experienced this before. This is new. And so this is why this conversation, and, for the channel council member Juando, for the millions that are watching at home, the reason why this conversation is so important is because I want folks to understand, and Dr. Pollard, you said it, we have no idea how to deal with this. I mean, this is something brand new. We've never experienced anything like this in our lifetimes, right? I mean, yes, the United States has had the Spanish flu and all. That wasn't in our lifetimes. We didn't experience any of this, nor did we have a system set up anywhere close to what that system was then, nor did that system survive. There were plenty of things that were broken and challenged with that system that completely changed about how we operate. And I will just remind people, when we're talking about COVID and we're talking about getting into the fall and getting into school, and this will be my lead-in to Dr. Edelstein, I'm sorry, how do we assure our students and our administrators and our support staff that it is safe? How do we do that? How do we honestly, with true fidelity, tell folks that I guarantee you there's not going to be a problem? I guarantee you that there's not going to be an outbreak. I guarantee you that you send your child to my school and your child will not get sick. If we can't guarantee that, we also know that there will continuously be impacts and people who will make decisions accordingly. Either not sending their children to school, demanding different kinds of setups, whatever the case may be, that still is out there. And I will remind folks that we do have diseases that have been before us for a very long time, to which, yes, we have vaccinations and everybody doesn't get vaccinated. There are folks who, for religious reasons right now, do not vaccinate their children for diseases that we have all but pretty much eliminated in the world. But yet, we still have these diseases around us. They're very small and they have small outbreaks, but the reality is they still exist and they still kill people, and we have vaccinations for them. So let's just be real about, even in the midst of, as Dr. Edelstein said, even in the midst of a vaccination, that there's still going to be issues that we're going to have to deal with forever, for the rest of our lives when it comes to COVID-19. With that, let me turn to our fearless leader, who's been extended until October, I think now, Dr. Edelstein. And who knows, maybe we can extend him beyond that. But Dr. Edelstein, the head of our great universities at Shady Grove.
Well, thank you so much. My appointment as executive director has been extended through September 30th, at which time I fully believe that the search for my replacement will be identified, and I will do everything I possibly can to help that person get acclimated and be a successful educational leader in the county. And I hope and I know that each of you will do the same with this new individual, because what we're doing is so important for the county and for the state and for nationally. Let me just say, we did our situation is fairly complex. You know that we're 9 universities in one place, and the instruction and responsibility for faculty and students relative to the instruction is the responsibility of our academic partners. So when we closed the campus physically in March, we were the first to do that, middle of March. Our universities followed, and they went remote. But that meant that we supported each of our university partners and the students who were at USG remotely. And I want to thank the staff at USG, who I think made a remarkable over the weekend transition from working in their offices to working remotely, and didn't miss a beat with regard to students who needed access to them to support their academic needs. Not just students, but actually the faculty members as well. Every single one of our staff continued to operate and support faculty and students throughout that semester. And I would say we did fairly well, given that all of the students, or I would say the 99% of the students who were scheduled to graduate actually did graduate. So what we did with our university partners, I think, was successful for the students who we were serving. I want to say that the transition was not an easy thing for our students to deal with, and particularly students who came to USG because we had small classes, because we had interactions with faculty members, because we had robust services on site. These students wanted the physical contact, and they accommodated the changes, some of them better than others, but it was a difficult transition, and similarly difficult for the faculty members who were doing this very, very quickly, moving from on-site to remote services. And we supported them as best as we could. We continue to provide services remotely. There is no on-site summer school at USG. All the classes that are being offered remotely. And all of the services that are being offered remotely. We will continue to do that. We are beginning to work. We have been working for the last almost 2 months with our university partners on plans for the fall. Most of the instruction across the university system will be remote. Several of our campuses are opening their dormitories, but will continue to offer their instruction remotely. We are working within the university system, across the university system, coordinating with their guidelines and with the state's guidelines, and certainly with the county's guidelines on how we can open the campus, how and whether we can open the campus remotely, very selectively, for students and for curricula that need access to specialized facilities. We're concerned about students making progress in their degrees, and in order for them to make that progress, they need access to specialized laboratories. One good example is nursing, and we take students who come in as juniors. They may or may not have any nursing or health curriculum when they come to USG as juniors. In order for them to be able to do clinical practice in the hospitals, they need certain didactic training, which is offered on-site through clinical training laboratories. If they don't get that didactic training, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, in their senior year for them to go into the hospitals and do the clinical work, rotation work that they need to do to qualify for licenses. So we are working really closely with the nursing school and others about what we can do to support their need to have on-site instruction so students can make progress in their degrees. Our enrollment, we're about steady. We think we're going to be at the same enrollment in the fall that we were last year. And what we find from our university partners is that students who are returning, they're returning at about the same number that they were before. So that's a good sign. Of course, the data is not perfect, and we don't know what's going to happen in the next month or so. But from at least a returning student point of view, we're holding our own. With regard to new admits, it's a little bit uncertain. We're losing some enrollments in some areas, but we're gaining enrollments in other areas. So, for example, in nursing, the nursing school is planning to expand its size at USG by about a third. So they'll be they're about 320 students now, and they want to grow to about 400 students over the next 1 or 2 years. So they're actually enrolling more students and using the USG facilities. They believe they're on schedule to be able to do that. But we'll find out whether that's the case. Same with social work. They're expanding their activities in their master's program in social work. And similarly, with some of the new programs that we started because of the biomedical sciences building, they're on target to enroll students for the fall. So we believe we're making progress with regard to enrollments, but of course we don't know for certain what the yield rate will be on the students who've accepted admission into the programs offered at USG. We'll see how that works over the next several months. I'm joined by 3 colleagues. Mary Lang, who is our Chief Planning Officer, and with Nico Washington, who is our Chief Financial Officer, and with Robin DiNicola-Wagle, who is our Chief Student Affairs Officer. Mary and Nico are coordinating our return to campus planning. So I want them to give you some overview of what we're thinking, what we're doing, and how we will make the decisions moving forward. Again, our decision making is collaboratively engaging with our university partners. We don't do this alone. We're thinking about the students who are in the county who we support, but these are students of our university partners, and we must make sure that we support what the universities want to do and provide the services within that that meets their needs. So let me ask Mary to begin a conversation with you about what our planning is. And maybe we can get into the other issues, the financial issues and the CARES issues, etc. But I think the first set of issues is what will happen on the campus in the fall and how we make those decisions.
Thank you, Stu. I would just like to begin. You've given a overview of what we're thinking for the fall in terms of the types of classes that we believe will be offered on site. We received a request for about 60 of our classes to be offered on site in the fall. 25 of them are for lab instruction and clinical training. The rest of them were for either instruction that would be given weekly or at the end of the semester. We are looking at those that second set of requests to see if we can accommodate it in any way, shape, or form. We are focusing, however, our attention on making sure that we will have the ability to offer the facilities and the classrooms and the labs for that clinical training. As you may remember, the BSE that was open in the fall had a dental community clinic. That will not be open in the fall. It was open for about a week this past spring, its first week, and then we had to shut it down. So that is on hold, and no public events or outside events will be going on the campus. So we're focusing our attention on making sure that the health and safety of the faculty and students that need to come in for that clinical training will be safe. Our facilities staff has been doing its work in a couple of different areas. One, it's making sure that the HVAC systems can and meet code procedures that College Park set out for its entire campus, and making sure the circulation in whatever room allows for non-recycled air or recirculated air to be in the classroom for a certain period of time. In addition to that, our facilities staff has looked at social safe distancing for the classrooms and done an inventory across all of our classrooms to figure out how many students would be allowed in. You can imagine that for lab instruction, that's more difficult, but because of the way that labs are set up, they tend to be in partners, and they're a little bit closer than necessarily just rooms in a put together as a traditional classroom style. The other piece that we've been spending time on is allowing our health and safety protocols to be in place for screening of those that will be coming to campus. We're looking at many of the apps that are available across our institutions and how we can collaborate amongst our institutions about the information they may be requiring for their faculty and students to fill out versus what Shady Grove is filling out. So we are looking at some screening software to help us do that. The information will then be triaged, hopefully collectively at Shady Grove, that can be worked, again, shared with our partners. And that's where the complexity is in our planning at the moment. As for testing and for contact tracing, we're working collaboratively with the county, similar to what Montgomery College is doing in terms of referring our students, faculty, and staff to testing available resources in the county, and we will be working with the county in their contact tracing, and we've had conversations with them. I will turn to my colleagues Nico and Robin as well if there are other pieces to provide. Nico?
No, Mary, I think you've covered everything with regard to return to campus planning. I mean, I could jump in the CARES Act funding, but I will give Robin an opportunity to speak with regard to students first before I get into any funding question.
Okay.
Thanks, Nico and Mary. Listen, this is a significant challenge for all of us, but those of us in student affairs in particular. We make a living out of building a structure and an organization that empowers students and provides them the support they need to be their best selves and to reach their goals. So what we find now, as you know, is this pandemic is not impacting all of us equally. Some of us are disproportionately impacted, and those are the students that most need our support in our creative thinking during this period of time. So what we're hearing and what we're really focusing on is this challenge of how do we keep everybody safe, but how do we address that population that may not be successful if we don't do something. What we're hearing from students, and we've conducted a survey in the spring, is they're worried about loss of income. Many of them are hungry. How can you focus on your education if you don't know where your next meal is coming from? There are technology issues. Simple access to broadband that many of us take for granted is not something that many have access to. Space, we're spending a lot of time simply thinking about accessing space. We hear from students who say, I just don't have the adequate space in my home to quietly study and be focusing on being successful in my classes. Mental health is a major focal point for us. We've heard in the survey and from students who say further isolation is not going to help them. And what are we doing to help them to stay engaged and address those issues? We also are concerned about students with disabilities and how are they surviving in this era of remote instruction. It's a challenge for many. And also, we hear a lot from students who, gosh, we made it to the finish line, but there's no job waiting for me right now. And what do I do? What's my next phase of life look like? These are all the questions we're all struggling with. And at Shady Grove, in our return to campus plan, our job is to figure out how do you navigate safety and health first and foremost, with still knowing you've got to do something creatively to help students. So we're really focusing our needs in those areas. We do have a food pantry. We are looking at, can we, in a pilot format for the fall semester, look at trying to offer contactless through lockers food pickup for students who need access to food. We continue to provide e-gift card for students who need groceries. We've already distributed 580 gift cards to students who are in need. That's $58,000, and the requests continue to pour in. We will continue that throughout the fall semester and the spring semester, trying to help them bridge the gap in scholarships where CARES doesn't quite give enough. We're looking at some of those students. We're trying to figure out on a case-by-case basis where disability support services testing is needed. How do we do that? How do you safely set up study spaces on campus? We're opening up our parking garages in the fall to allow for students to access broadband. We're doing hotspot loans, technology loans. Our library is open to provide curbside pickups for books and other materials, course reserves. So, just like every other campus and everything Dr. Pollard indicated they're doing at Montgomery College, we are a very high-touch, personalized campus. Our support services at Shady Grove make a difference. And so we are really getting creative and innovative on how do we continue to, we know what the needs are, how do we address them in the safest way possible?
Great. Mr. Rice, I wanted to talk a little bit about the financial challenges, if that's okay with you, because I think our situation is a little bit unique in terms of how we're funded and what some of the challenges are to what's coming down the road for us financially.
Yes, please, go right ahead.
Yeah, so as you know, we receive the universities who offer instruction, students pay tuition to those campuses. That covers the cost of instruction. We oftentimes supplement the dollars that campuses are needed because the costs of the degrees are sometimes higher, particularly in the technology areas, than what the tuition brings in. So we have funds that are made available through the state of Maryland, through the university system, that supports bringing to the campus some of these very specialized programs that are amongst the most expensive that universities can offer. Our enrollments over the last couple of years have dropped, and a lot of our funding is dependent on fees that students pay to us to support partly what those services cost. So over the last couple of years, we've lost dollars. And if you remember, the commission that was organized last year and completed its recommendations indicated that charging fees for students for some of these services didn't make any sense. That the services needed to be in place regardless of what the enrollments were, and the plan was to request additional operating dollars from the state of Maryland to support those service regimens. Well, of course, when that commission report was made, nobody knew about COVID, and nobody knew about finances and revenues coming into the state of Maryland. And in fact, for the fiscal year of 21, we know that the state of Maryland is projecting a loss of resources, a loss of revenues. And so it is taxing all state agencies with rescission dollars. The university system is no different. They are also being asked to return dollars to the state of Maryland, not just for this fiscal year, but probably for the next fiscal year as well, given their projections on revenues. And so USG, where we lost resources over the last several years, which were going to be returned by a request for additional operating funds next fiscal year, is being asked to provide additional funds back through the university system to meet the rescission target. So we're stressed, and we're working through various scenarios on how we will continue to deliver services with less revenue. And partly the issue for us is going to be, how do we do that in this fiscal year? How do we do it in next fiscal year? How do we keep people employed and we're dedicated to making sure that decisions we have maintain services to students and keep people who are working at USG employed, and at the same time deal more efficiently with how we do what we do, and provide resources going back to the state of Maryland. We are not eligible for CARES funding that comes from the federal government directly to universities because we're not degree granting. We have been able to get CARES dollars from special allocations that come through the governor's office. And I'm going to let Nico speak a little bit about the CARES funding that we were able to apply for and that we actually got. So Nico, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, not a problem. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. To speak about the CARES Act funding, as Stu mentioned, it's through the governor's office. So we were able to submit a request for funding of about $1.1 million for both FY20 and FY21. And just to get into a little bit of detail in terms of what we are expecting to cover with those funds, for FY20, this past current fiscal year, we looked at a request of $250,000 to support our technology equipment needs through the beginning of the COVID pandemic, as well as reimbursement for our public safety and security cost. And then moving into FY21, we were approved to receive over $800,000 in funding to support PPE, cleaning, sanitizing related costs, testing supplies, some support from a healthcare personnel staff member, as well as facility costs to upgrade our facility to support and allow for social distancing and keeping folks safe. So again, we've laid out and we're approved to receive that funding, and we're working with systems through a reimbursement process to receive those fundings throughout the fiscal year.
So that's generally our fiscal situation is difficult. I would say each of our universities have considerable fiscal challenges in terms of their residential facilities and their auxiliary facilities, the costs to open the campus and continue to offer safe conditions. These are all significant challenges that our university partners, we're not being treated any differently than any one of our partners. Our situation is slightly different because we depend still on fees, on room charges, and other revenues that come to us when we're open. Now, that model was to change, and it will change. I don't think it'll change in fiscal year 21 or fiscal year 22. It will probably change beginning fiscal year 23. So we live with a fiscal model that is not effective and does not allow us to do the work that we need to do. We don't have a choice. It's not a question of anybody having a pot of money that we can get access to. We need to do the work. We need to do it to serve our students and our university partners. We can't rely on revenues because the campus will not be open fully. And we want to continue to be effective and efficient in the way we use our resources. So it's a challenge. Nico is handling that challenge quite well. All of our senior people are working through how to continue to offer services and how to maintain the campus in a safe environment and do it with less resources. Nico, did I miss anything on the financial part?
I don't think so, Stu. I think we're not missing a beat in terms of just making sure we're supporting our staff, our faculty, and working through the challenges that come with this. We're making our way.
So that is the story. I think for the fall, we would like to be open for the specialized classes. If we can do more with regard to study, if we could do more with regard to internet or technology needs, if we can do more with regard to food insecurity, we will do the best that we can on that. I think our first priority, as Mary indicated, is providing instruction in the key areas which will affect whether a student makes progress in their degree or not. So that will be the laboratory work. And conditions will likely change over the fall. We don't know what those conditions are. We may be shut. Right now, the campus is not open. We hope that we'll be able to open in August when the semester begins. We don't know that for certain. We don't know what the conditions are going to be in the middle of the fall, whether they're going to be conditions that will shut us down. There's a lot of uncertainty around what we do, and we need to have contingency plans with our partners for any of those eventualities.
Well, Dr. Edelstein, Mary, Nico, Robin, thank you very much for this. This is very important in terms of painting a story of what our institutions are challenged with. And one of the things that I feel bad because I didn't even think about it from that perspective. I know it, but we're not going to get reimbursed and we're not eligible for those CARES dollars because we are not a degree granting institution. And and I apologize. I say we. In full disclosure, I'm on the board of advisors for universities at Shady Grove. So we've had some of these conversations before, similarly around some of the challenges, which is why the board of advisors and universities at Shady Grove is looking for a different way in which the University System of Maryland treats the universities at Shady Grove to allow some flexibility. And this conversation happened well before COVID-19. And is one in which we now see some of the downfalls of having the institution sort of positioned the way it is. And this is one of those that certainly affects it. Stu, you had touched on this a little bit when you talked about what was open. And Mary, I think you talked about this as well in terms of how the campus is open. I know, Will knows, Nancy knows, we all go to a myriad of different special event functions at universities at Shady Grove. I mean, there isn't a week where I don't see something on the calendar that's happening there that we can attend. So from that perspective, I imagine that's significant revenue for you guys. And so how are you making up for that lost revenue that you're getting? I mean, has there been conversation with, and I'm assuming there are other institutions throughout the University System of Maryland that also have those same sort of challenges with not having it open and having special events on their campuses. What's been the conversation around that?
They all have fiscal challenges because they can't open the campus to the public. And they can't have events with more than 10 people in it. And our events, as you know, are large events. And so the campus will not be safe for any individuals if we have any events on the campus. We cannot bring any people who shouldn't be on the campus to use the facilities which have provided funding for USG and valuable community contacts and valuable community service. But we're no different than any other campus that does the same thing. We happen to have a large conferencing activity, and that conferencing activity is going to have financial challenges. I don't know, Nico, if you want to say anything about the context in which we're operating with regard to the conference and events activities, which generate not just income for the use of the facilities, but they generate parking income. And so our parking revenues are going to be down. We owe money to the state of Maryland for the construction of parking facilities, and we have a bond payback to the university system that extends for several years to come. And we're going to have challenges because part of the revenues that we're using is from conferencing to support those that debt service that we have. And Nico, I don't know if you want to say any more about the challenges we have that Craig identified.
Now, the only thing I would add is that we're working closely with System and College Park in terms of our staffing levels, looking at our reserve balances and finding strategies to work through. We were in a very good place when we wrapped up FY21 as a result of having a very conservative budget in FY20, having a very conservative working budget that allowed us to absorb some of the loss in our Conference and Event Center for FY20. And we know that won't be the case for FY21. However, we are looking for strategies and ways to manage that and balance our budget coming in the near future. So we'll be working through it with policies and trying to not increase the layoff and things of that sort. So we're really working closely with our state guidance on this.
Well, thank you for that. Now, I know that, again, another part of it, and not to belabor the point, but you do have students who also, were standing up as a part. So our hospitality students who oftentimes get their experience from working in our conference center who will no longer have that experience based on that. So you have a direct impact on students as well as just from an economic standpoint. And so just know that there's understanding there. We stand ready as partners with you. I'm speaking for my colleagues because I know that they are definitely aligned with you. If we need to, craft a letter that asks for, some sort of understanding in the fact that we know that, there are significant losses that are associated with this and, student losses as well in terms of their ability to be able to gain that experience. Those are things that certainly need to be quantified and certainly understood by the university system as a whole when it comes to its impact on your ability to continue to educate our students.
I would say that our university colleagues and the university system leadership is very supportive of USG, understands the challenges, is working with us. These are not easy times for any one of our university partners or for higher ed in general. And we appreciate, and I appreciate your and the county's strong interest and concern. I would say from my point of view, what is most concerning to me is to give students the opportunity to get the education that they need. And for them, the challenges are primarily financial and circumstantial in terms of losing their jobs, in terms of the families that they support. Anything that you can do, and I know you're very sympathetic to this, to help students who want to continue their educations but need assistance. I mean, we will provide the services, but they may need financial assistance. And of course, some of that comes from the CARES money that goes to our university partners. We raise money also to provide scholarship support. We know, I would say to you, that the students who come to USG are successful. Once they get to us, because they come to us so well prepared from Montgomery College, they will graduate if they have the ability to do that. And part of that ability, whether they have the financial support to continue to pay for their studies. Many of the students work, but the debt for students at USG is much less than the debt overall across the university system, because we provide support for those students, which we know makes a difference in their ability to stay connected, stay engaged, and eventually to graduate. Those are the bigger issues that I hope you can help us with as we work with our university partners to make sure that the students who want to continue and want to go into higher ed, to get the jobs, to get the education that they need for the jobs, that we can continue to do that in a robust way in this period of great difficulty for everybody.
Well, thank you very much for that, Dr. Edelstein, Ms. Lang, Ms. Wagle, Ms. Nico, I'm sorry. Ms. Washington, thank you. Thank you very much. I had to scroll. I was like, wait, you were on my first page and then you disappeared. So thank you very much. No, this is a great update. And Dr. Pollard, to you and your team as well. This is tremendous in terms of understanding the amount of thought and work that's gone into this is incredibly important. I know that this has been a great lead-in for us into our conversations around our savings plan. So we are going to go ahead and go on to our next topic, which is the savings plan. To you, Dr. Edelstein, and your team, you can feel free to stay on if you'd like, but certainly feel free to hop off as well. I know you've got other things to do as well.
Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you and your colleagues.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We'll be talking soon.
Right.
All right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started with our second item, which is our FY21 savings plan. On July 6th, the county executive sent over a savings plan to the county council. It's a recommended FY21 revised spending plan. It's attached on circles 3 through 16 of your packet today. I want to thank Mr. Howard as well as Ms. Rodriguez Hernandez again for their great work on this. I know that many of you have seen what's been there. We've already discussed and touched on this a bit in terms of Dr. Pollard and her discussions around their being a great partner and the amount in which they felt they were comfortable with in terms of with the challenges they face, still contributing back to the county. And we always, as Councilmember Jawando and Councilmember Navarro have said, we always appreciate the college being a great partner with us in this respect. We will talk about libraries who, I would say has more taken it on the chin in a lot of our discussions. And I know we have Director Vassallo on with us as well. And so I know that Councilmember Jawando, who is the lead for libraries, I'm going to make sure that he has a chance to kind of lead us through some of this discussion and conversations about the future of our libraries and how this will have an impact on that as well. But let me turn to Mr. Howard. I know that we've extended a little bit. I think it was good for us to have a robust conversation around our reopening plans, but I know that we've already had the ability to take a look at some of these savings, so I don't anticipate our conversation will go long when it comes to this and some of the decision points. So let me just turn to you to go ahead and walk us through the recommendations as well as the negotiations that have already taken place between the college and the executive side.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and you're correct. The college should not take too long, and then Dr. Pollard and her team can go about the rest of their day. The recommendation for the college is savings of $4,354,491. The easy part of this is the college and the executive did agree to this amount prior to sending over the savings plan. The one thing that's different with the college is the committee knows that's different from libraries, which you'll talk about in a minute, is that we recommend savings targets for the outside agencies such as the college and MCPS if they come back with a savings plan later this year. But the money is not, quote unquote, taken away from their budget. It just accrues to their fund balance and is then available as carryover resources for the next fiscal year. So ideally, these funds would be available as part of the college's FY22 budget request, which then reduces the amount of local funding that the college would be requesting from the council. So that's what would happen with the college budget with this recommendation. One thing I'll note, as we discussed in the last item, there's still a lot of moving pieces. We've already heard about the $6.3 million reduction in state aid for the college. So there could be some items that, again, this is the target amount that the committee would be recommending that the college save, and the college would strive to save that amount, and they think that they can do that at this time. But there could be factors that cause them to re-examine and change that number up or down as we get to the actual end of the fiscal year. So staff's recommendation is to support the reduction that was included in the executive savings plan.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Mr. Howard. I would just say that, again, we want to be very cautious about these, and so I really appreciate the level of some flexibility that was there. I really appreciate the thoughtfulness, again, of Montgomery College. Mr. Murphy, I appreciate you with Office of Management and Budget, again, working with the college, understanding that, again, this is a key priority for us. You heard us spend almost 2 hours today talking about recovery and reopening efforts because of how important this is to us. This is important to our economy. This is important to us as a community. And so from that perspective, we don't want cuts that are too deep, that it really causes drastic harm to something that is a key economic driver as well as a social driver in our community, and that is our education system. So with that, let me turn to my colleagues to see if they have any comments or questions. Let me turn first to Councilmember Navarro and then Councilmember Jawando.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the college leadership, of course, Dr. Pollard and your team for agreeing to cooperate in this way. Of course, I can't help but reflect on the fact that, as we entered the pandemic very quickly, we received the FY21 budget, and very quickly we had to assess the situation given the very dire possible projections, and also learning from lessons from the previous recession, et cetera. So council very quickly worked to retool and put forth a framework for the budget that was continuity of operations. The college, cooperated with us in that way. And of course, I would have preferred that the executive had reworked his budget, knowing that this was going to be a very difficult process for all of us. Nonetheless, I think the council did what it had to do. Unfortunately, many of us said at that time that we most likely would have to take up savings plan or other measures because it was such uncertainty in terms of our shortfall. And although there was a lot of disagreement about where we would end up, the reality is that we are here. And I think that it is absolutely important that we do everything possible to position ourselves in the best light, because we still don't even know how far this will last and how much more dire the situation will become. So I do want to thank all of you as partners, because it feels like it was just yesterday that we were here talking about the FY21 operating budget and the CIP, and here we are again. But as always, you step up and you work with us from a place of understanding and also from a place of reality. And for that, I am very grateful, and I will support the staff's recommendation.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Jawando.
Not much more to be said. I'll wait until we get to the library portion, but I agreed. As I said earlier, Dr. Pollard, I know you know open door policy. There's no door, actually. There's not door isn't even there. So please let us know as things change, and we're going to have to be flexible. As we were sitting here, I just saw that San Diego and Los Angeles Unified School Districts just announced that they're going to be starting online in the fall, and maybe that the whole way. So just underscores the fluidity of what's happening and how we're going to need to reevaluate. So thank you for all the work you're doing. I'll also support the staff recommendation, but with the caveat of the doorway with no door on it for you. So.
Well, thank you very much, Councilmember Jawando, and I think that, again, highlighting that most recent story that just came across a lot of our feeders just talks about what it is that we'll continue to see. I mean, when folks ask me a comment about this fall and about NCPS, I said, listen, this hasn't even been approved by the Board of Education yet, and there's still months to go to determine what it is that indeed makes sense based on where we are. We're seeing spikes in almost half of the United States of America. That's concerning, especially in terms of how transient our community is here in Montgomery County, and could have significant impacts. Who knows? Or maybe our folks who actually travel are going to do the right things and do the proper social distancing and wear masks and all the things that we know are going to protect themselves and protect our community when they come back. So from that perspective, it could be fine. We just don't know. And so that since there's so much uncertainty, there will be asterisks put on every single one of the decisions we make. And so I think understanding and appreciating where the college and Office of Management and Budget have landed, we have a unanimous 3-0, Mr. Howard, in terms of accepting the staff recommendation of supporting the $4.354491 million savings target for the college. And we will, again, keep our eye open, and should there be some sort of significant changes, we will come back as an Education and Culture Committee and certainly reevaluate. So, all right, we have that as a unanimous decision by the council, or by the committee, I'm sorry. So our next item is our Montgomery, and so Dr. Pollard, thank you so much. I know you don't have anything else to do but run an institution over the summer.
Thank you all so much, and have a good one.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all of your staff at Montgomery College for all the great work they continue to do. So now we will move on to our Department of Public Libraries, and we have a great person who has certainly been at the helm for a little over, Director Vassallo, has it been a year and a half now?
Well, Councilmember Rice, it has not actually been a year, but it seems like a long time. It'll be a year in September as
Okay.
Director.
Okay, so almost a year. Almost a year. So, as our great director of public libraries, and as a person who grew up as a person who knew our former director of libraries, Dr. Ms. Parker Hamilton, I can just tell you that the library system here in Montgomery County is certainly a jewel and has been something that all of us have treasured. Councilmember Navarro fought very much to ensure that Wheaton Library would continue to be a resource for that community, the library that I grew up going to as a child. We continue to see how much of an impact that makes on our communities. We highlighted that, and I want to just lead into this because that is the story of what is being denied to so many children right now based on this global pandemic. And then let's not talk about all of the adults and other in-betweeners who end up utilizing this facility as well, whether it's job retooling, all of the things that we've talked about, right? And that's now been restricted from our community and has significant impacts. There's no question. The child who we talked about, who was at home with family that may have been disruptive family to them, and faced with challenges, and now they use the library as an escape, doesn't have that right now. And we have to reflect on that and pause for a moment to understand that those same highlights that we talked about the successes of our libraries, are now a victim of this COVID-19 pandemic. That is something that we will have to certainly struggle with as we figure out how to reopen these vital resources that are in our community that stand as more than just a place to get books. And so from that perspective, let me turn it over to Councilmember Jawando, our lead for libraries, to kind of work us in. We have a recommendation of a reduction of $1.959, $655 for Montgomery County Public Libraries. It amounts to a 4.65% reduction compared to the fiscal 21 appropriation. So, Councilmember Jawando, Chair of Public Libraries, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rice, and I think Anita was acting director longer than she's been director. I think that's part of
that's what it was.
I think that's why we add those together. And so, yes, certainly underscore everything that was said about how great our libraries are. And I had to switch my set here and put my virtual library set up just for the occasion. We just did day 66 of our library tour, or not library tour, of our virtual story times, and that's been a great partnership. And as the libraries, one of the big, I think, really great things that's happened is that you all you've been open the whole time. I know Anita and I talk about this all the time. The libraries didn't close, the physical buildings closed, but all the services and online, and now that we have curbside or contactless pickup and drop off going on, and I've seen the pictures, as I'm sure my colleagues have, of the massive number of bins on the first day when you opened, and how eager people were to return things. So I think you guys have continued to do a great job under difficult circumstances, and really, libraries are front line. We talk about this all the time with all the services that you all are providing. So I do know that my understanding. I will turn it over to our wonderful staff packet here, which is pretty self-explanatory and really well done. And I appreciate Nicole Rodriguez Hernandez and Mr. Howard for pulling this together. As Mr. Rice said, it's just under a $2 million reduction, for a little over 4%. And my understanding, and I certainly want to allow Ms. Vassallo, before we turn over to Ms. Rodriguez Hernandez to make any opening comments, is that most of this savings has been accomplished through the closing of the physical structure, and you haven't had to reduce anyone's time or hours and its lapse and other things, so you can dig into that. But that's my understanding of it from our conversations and from the packet. And so, but again, as I said to Dr. Pollard, if there's anything here that as we move forward, I think we need to keep an open mind that, the services our libraries provide as we're in phase 2, as we head to 2.5 and phase 3, hopefully down the road, are going to be more critical, not less, as we try to reopen. And so I think we want to keep a open mind, whether it's workforce development, whether it's, I think you're going to have people beating down the doors for story time at some point. Regardless of what the services are, internet usage is all that. We have to figure out ways to provide that in a safe way, but also in a way that meets the needs of our public who's struggling with this recession, trying to get back on their feet and all those things. So I just want to keep the door open while this, is not an insignificant cut. I really appreciate the work that's gone into the library staff and Ms. Fasalo and your whole team. I see Ms. Hawes and Mr. Donaldson here and Barbara and Deborah Lambert as well from OMB to minimize the impact on the employees. So with that, if it's okay with Mr. Chairman, I'd turn it over to Ms. Fasalo.
Thanks so much, Councilmember Jawando, and good afternoon, Councilmember Rice and Councilmember Navarro. It's very nice to see your faces, even at a remote. I also want to introduce my business manager, Steve Capani. He's the other person joining us here this afternoon. So, as was said, libraries never close. We just shifted. We shifted our focus to our digital resources and our virtual programming. We moved some money around. We've actually been there and been able to support the community in many different ways. We've picked up some streaming services that I know are highly popular. I've said this a couple times and I'll say it again. March 16th when we closed, we had never offered a virtual program at all. And now, any week you can find over 50 programs for all ages that are available online. This does not negate what I know is a critical need for those members of our community who do not have access either to the devices or to the broadband services that they need in order to make use of library resources. So that is something that weighs very heavily on me and on my staff, considering how we are going to be able to provide those services again. As you mentioned, workforce development, of course, is going to be a critical need. Folks are going to need to get into the library to file their applications, to print their resumes, for just a whole host of needs. So, that is our next step as we look towards moving forward, is reopening our buildings, probably with limited access of some type, but we're working on that now. It is disheartening to see the reoccurrence of the COVID flares around the country, when I think Montgomery County and the state of Maryland have worked so hard to make sure that our residents would be as safe as possible with risk reduction. And it just doesn't seem that it's been quite as smooth in other areas of the country. So I know that that's a concern, both to county administration and to staff in the forward-facing departments such as mine. But we are working on our plan to be able to reopen our doors to our public sometime in phase 2, probably late in phase 2, and welcoming people back. It has been great to see the response to the opportunity for people to bring their materials back. I'm sure folks have been tripping over our stuff since March and are happy to have it out of their homes now. We're doing very well with our MCPL Holds to Go program. The first day we started, which was last Monday, July 6th, we had over 500 appointments for people to come in and pick up materials. So obviously, folks still love the physical book. They still like to have something in their hands. And we're evaluating. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting later today where we're going to take a look at the program and see what adjustments we need to make, if we can add in more appointments, if we should be doing it a different way. So I think, as someone from Montgomery College said, we've never done this before. Everything is new to us. I tell this to my staff all the time. If we make a mistake, it's fine. We'll correct it and we'll move forward from there. And I think we've had the support of the community. They're being very patient with us as we get everything together and make sure that we're working the way that best serves them. So, we're trying hard. We're trying hard to serve our community in the way that we can right now. And my administrative team, my core leadership, my managers, and my staff have all pitched in to do their very best for our community. And if you want to move forward through our budget reduction, we could do that now.
No, you don't have to be excited about that, but I understand. And thank you again for everything that you all are doing. So I'll turn it back over to Mr. Rice if you want to say some more. We can go right into Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez.
Yep, nope, we can go right to staff.
Great.
Great, thank you, council members. So, as you mentioned, there's a $1,959,655 recommended reduction for the FY21 budget from the executive, which represents about a 4.65% reduction from the approved budget. On page 3, you will see a chart with the operating and personnel expenditure line items for libraries, starting with the first 7 items, which are operating, and the last section being personnel. For the executive's operating expenditures, there is a recommended reduction of $213,057 relating to operating costs. Majority of those reductions are due to the move to remote telework or virtual programs, or the delay or postponement of purchases of physical materials and trainings. In addition, the libraries received a $34,825 grant from the Maryland State Library's disbursement of their CARES Act funding, which they are using to replace the general fund dollars that were allocated for facility modifications in the FY21 budget. These dollars will be used for things like self-checkout services, plexiglass shields, keyboard protections, Wi-Fi hotspots, many of the things that we've come to know to help in the reopening in the times of COVID-19. For these operating expenses, council staff concurs with the executive's recommended operating expenditure reductions, and I will move on to the personnel expenditures unless there's any questions on the operating line items.
I would just like to make a little clarification, Nicole. The money that we received from the CARES Act, which was about $34,800, of that, $10,000 of that was first earmarked for workforce development programming. So we will be supporting the community in that way by offering additional classes from our partners who do charge. But we felt that that was really the most important thing to do with that money. The additional $24,000 we actually had earmarked for the installation of the plexiglass shields throughout the 19 buildings which are currently operating. But I just heard today from my assistant director for facilities that that money will be paid for from another source from the county. So that, again, frees up $25,000 from that CARES Act that we may use to support programming. We may turn it to another use, not determined yet, but that was a very welcome piece of news for today. So go ahead, Nicole.
Great news.
Okay, so moving on to the personnel expenditures. The executive's recommended FY21 savings plan, which shows a $1,746,598 reduction in terms of personnel expenditures. For these items, I'm going to go through them one by one, but council staff does concur with the executive's recommended reductions for all of them, but I just thought it'd be important to discuss them a little bit more in depth since they're a greater portion of the reduction. So the first one is the book sorting contract, which is a partnership between libraries and the Community Services for Autistic Adults and Children organization, CSAC. And the book sorting contract employed 6 employees from CSAC, which came with their own job coach paired with them, so 12 individuals in total. Their role was sorting in the warehouse. Due to physical distance guideline recommendations and the size of the warehouse and the size of the team, executive staff notes that they have decided to not renew the contract with CSAC for fiscal year 21 for COVID-19 concerns as well as fiscal reasons. Council staff concurs with the executive's recommended reduction. However, they recommend to the committee that they request a written follow-up from libraries on future opportunities to continue this partnership with CSAC when appropriate.
I would just like to have Mr. Donaldson clarify a little bit about the contract with CSAC so that we're sure that we're all completely aware of what's going on there.
Sure. So the contract is in effect until September of this year. What's happened is that since libraries closed in March, there was no call for CSAC to report to work. There was nobody in that building. Now that we've recalled some of our staff, but we're still not open to the public, we have kind of a modified operating scenario, with the contactless holds being our primary physical materials service. And so we don't really have operational need for CSAC at this time. And that contract has no cost to the department apart from the pass-through of the wages. And so insofar as we haven't called them back, it's all savings. And we don't foresee an operational need to recall them to the workplace for the foreseeable future. We're currently just relying on existing staff in the department to do what there is of sorting work.
Yes, and 2 merit staffers are covering that work in 2 separate shifts right now.
And I know the folks at CSAC enjoy that work, and so hopefully we get to a point at some point where that can be revisited, but certainly makes sense under the current context.
Right.
Okay, I will continue. The next item is the library pages budget, which is a reduction of $500,000. And the library pages perform routine manual and clerical library work for MCPL, and they are non-merit seasonal part-time employees. Similar to the CSAC workers, they have been on leave without pay since mid-March due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And executive staff notes that in the meantime, there are 3 merit staff positions within MCPL job descriptions that include the work of the pages so that they're able to perform the duties of the pages at this time. I will note that this reduction does not completely eliminate fiscal year 21 funding for these positions at the time, and I believe when appropriate, they could be brought back into facilities. So council staff concurs with the executive's recommended reduction.
Great, thank you. Any comments from library staff on that? Okay.
Well, I would like to say that this one was. This is very heart-wrenching for me because the library shelving assistant or library page job is an entry-level job into library work for many, many people. Is how I started. But given the constraints and the budgetary concerns that we find ourselves facing, this was a position that we could set aside since we have other people who can do the work. But as you say, hopefully sometime in the future, we will be able to reinstate this entry-level job that so many young people take on as kind of the taste of their first working world, and as I said, also their first introduction to library work. So this one was hard.
Mr. Lee, if I could just comment on that as well, I think that again, this is something where once we see where as we get into the fall. As we see and hope that our facilities start to open back up to the public again, we can revisit this as a part of a potential supplemental, something to get some of those folks back to work. Part of our economic plan is about getting people back to work. And so we've provided supplementals throughout a lot of this pandemic surrounding that. And so whether it's departments doing the same thing, especially when it comes to entry level, we know the types of folks those are, typically lower income, typically oftentimes maybe people of color. And so from that perspective, we want to make sure that those opportunities are out there. And so from that perspective, we'll certainly try and be as supportive as we can when the time arises.
Couldn't agree more.
Councilmember Rice, this is Deborah Lambert from Office of Management and Budget. Just wanted to note that the executive felt the same way as you do, and that is one of the reasons why he decided to only take $500,000 from the $1,066,000 that is in the Pages budget, because he has the hopes of restoring that program as well.
Thank you, Ms. Lambert. That's great to hear. That really is the county executive and the county council on the same page. We like that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez, please continue.
Thank you. The next item is the personnel lapses, which shows a reduction of $105,098. In the fiscal year 21 budget process, the council approved $3,618,756 in assumed position lapses for fiscal year 21, and this is an additional recommended $105,098 in increased lapses. Executive staff notes that 62 vacant positions are found within the library system that accounts for this, and they are not planned to be filled for the remainder of the fiscal year. And that number is as of June 2nd.
Any comment on the lapse, Anita? I know we had been talking. This is an ongoing issue, and we've been working our way up to filling spots. But obviously, we're in a different situation now. So.
Right, we are in a different situation. So the 62 jobs represent a certain amount of money, which we have committed to saving as part of our savings plan. If during the course of the year we have additional retirements or resignations, it may be that we will be able to fill some critical need jobs going through the position exemption process. We are able to operate at our reduced hours. I think as the council members know, we're reducing hours across the system to a 56-hour week, with the exception of the Maggie Nightingale Library, which has always been at 49, and the Noyes Library for Young Children, which will need to remain closed during to the very small size of the facility. So this is a reduction overall of 211 hours of service to the community, but it also means that we are able to provide this service with a reduced amount of staff in place.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to the next point, which is the substitute budgets, which is a reduction of $883,781. Executive staff notes that there is no longer a need for a majority of the substitutes budget, which provided branch coverage for all of the library branches within MCPL due to the modified service hours and the modified service model. In this FY21 savings plan recommended by the executive, the Sunday substitutes budget has been completely eliminated, while the weekday and Saturday substitutes budget has been reduced to $40,000, which will be utilized for collection management drivers to distribute the materials between the branches as needed.
Thank you. And Ms. Vassallo, just on the last point, I know we've talked about this in the context of as we reopen, considering the average age of your workforce and retirement eligibility, I think, it's just something I want to flag from the committee and for Ms. Lambert and for us to just keep an eye on as we go forward. And I know some people might, because of concerns of their own health or just wanting to move on and uncertainty in the environment, you might see an uptick. And I just think that's something we want to keep an eye on, and it could present opportunities, like you said, to fill some positions. But if you could just keep us posted on that, and I think it's something, particularly for this population in the library department, where it could be an issue. And I know you're aware of that, but I just wanted to mention it for the committee and for the public.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes, the final item is a reduction of $156,919 in general fund dollars for a position that will be transferred to the Deaf Cultural Digital Library State Grant. That grant had funding for two positions, one which is a field program specialist position, and the second which was a vacant coordinator position and will now be filled by this individual's position and salary. And council staff concurs with the executive's recommended reduction.
Great. So I think, Mr. Chairman, without objection, I think those are, we concur with the executive's recommendation.
Excellent. So that's before us. Any objection from my colleagues? And hearing none, we have a unanimous recommendation. So, I really want to say thank you, Councilmember Tawando, our lead for libraries, Ms. Fasalo, our director of libraries, and all of your staff who are continuing to build back this system in the face of, some certainly trying times for us and challenges. And one of the things I like that you said is we never close to the public. I think that point is incredibly important, that you serve as a resource to our community, and that never went away. That resource is still there. While we know the physical building may be closed, the reality is that we still are helping people and giving folks materials and giving them resources and information, all the things that they still need. So think of your librarian instead of behind the desk, on the phone, that you can still contact and reach out to and certainly get information that you need. I really like that, and so really want to say thank you. Any other comments from my colleagues or from staff? All right, if not, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Everyone stay safe. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Passengers are now required to board at the rear door of the bus.